लेसन नहीं समझ में आया? You people were not able to understand the lesson. What is the chapter about? How does the chapter begin? What is the author telling us in the beginning of the chapter? क्या हो रहा है chapter में? वो बोलता है he wants to take his wife and 2 kids and go where? Not only Isha, anybody. नहीं, chapter समझा ही नहीं.
He wants to follow the path of the famous Captain Jim Cook.
जो they will say loudly.
Ma'am, he wants to follow the sail of Captain James Cook, who went around the world.
Okay. Okay. Who can tell me what are the names of his children?
Jonathan and Suzanne.
Okay. So they set sail from which country? They begin their journey from
England.
from England, and then the journey was very peaceful up till
Africa.
Cape Town. Then from Cape Town, where are they headed?
Towards Australia through the southern Indian Ocean.
Exactly. And the southern Indian Ocean is very rough, and as they had predicted, they face a storm. Then they are doing various things to avert the storm. Now we are on page number 17, second paragraph. I checked and rechecked my calculations. We had lost our main compass, and I was using a spare which had not been corrected for magnetic variation. What is the meaning of spare?
Extra.
Extra. I made an allowance for this and another estimate for the influence of the westerly currents. What are these westerly currents? These are the currents flowing in the ocean, which will influence the direction of the ship, which flow through this part of the Indian Ocean. About 2 p.m., I went on deck and asked Larry to steer a course of 185 degrees. If we were lucky, I told him with a conviction I did not feel, he could expect to see the island at about 5 p.m. So he has made an calculation that which course they should follow so that they can reach the island. Anyone remembers the name of the island?
Isle Amsterdam.
Very good, Atharva. Then with a heavy heart, I went below, climbed on my bunk, and amazingly dozed off. Anyone knows what is the meaning of dozed off?
Went to sleep.
Went to sleep.
Went to sleep.
When I woke, it was 6 p.m. That means how many hours did he sleep?
4.
4 hours.
4 hours.
Yes, correct, Kushi. Because he went down at 2 o'clock and he got up at 6 o'clock. So that is 4 hours. And growing dark. I knew we must have missed the island. And with the sail we had left, we couldn't hope to beat back into the westerly winds. So when he woke up, it was quite dark and he assumed that they must have missed the island and now there is no hope of being able to go back because the westerly currents are flowing in this direction. So with the help of the wind, they have reached the island. But if they have missed the island and they have to take a U-turn and go back, then they are against the wind and their engines are not working. So they will not be able to do that. At that moment, a tousled head appeared by my bunk. What is the meaning of a tousled head? That means a head which has hair all here and there. It's not a well-groomed head. A head containing untidy hair. At that moment, a tousled head appeared by my bunk. Can I have a hug? Jonathan asked. So whose head it was?
Jonathan.
Correct, Advait. Sue was right behind him. Why am I getting a hug now? I asked. Because you are the best daddy in the whole world and the best captain, my son replied. Not today, John. I'm afraid. Why? You must be, said Sue in a matter of fact voice. You found the island. What? I shouted. It's out there in front of us. They chorused. What is the meaning of chorused?
Said together.
They said it together. Correct, Advait. As big as a battleship. I rushed on deck and gazed with relief at the stark outline of Isle Amsterdam. It was only a bleak piece of volcanic rock with little vegetation. With little vegetation means
Less number
Very
of
less
trees
vegetation.
and
yeah, very less vegetation means
Uh,
Less amount of plants.
exactly very
Less
few
amount of
trees and
plants.
plants.
Yes.
Yes, good vegetation means like when we see from Kharghar, we can see those mountains. They are green, so that is lot of vegetation. The most beautiful island in the world. Who can read till here? Page number 17.
Shall I?
Please, Parth.
I checked and rechecked my calculations. We had lost our main compass, and I was using the spare, which had not been corrected for magnetic variations. I made an allowance for this and another estimate of an influence of westerly current which flow through this part of Indian Ocean. About 2 p.m., I went on deck and asked Larry to steer a course of 185 degrees. If we were lucky, I told him with a conviction I did not feel. He could expect to see the island at about 5 p.m. Then, when a heavy heart, I went below, climbed on my bunk, and amazingly dozed off. When I woke, it was 6 p.m. and growing dark. I knew we must have missed the island, and with the sail we had left, we couldn't hope to beat back into the westerly winds. At that moment, a tousled head appeared by my bunk. Can I have a hug? Jonathan asked. Sue was right behind him. Why am I getting a hug now? I asked. Because you are the best daddy in the whole world and the best captain, my son replied. Not today, John, I am afraid. Why, you must be, says Susan in the matter of fact voice. You found the island. What? I shouted. It's out there in the front of us. They chorused. As big as the battleship. I rushed on the deck and gazed with relief the stark outline of the island Amsterdam. It was a bleak piece of volcanic rock with a little vegetation, the most beautiful island in the world.
Thank you, Parth. Manish, what do you want to ask?
Mom, actually, I just got connected, so I just wanted to know that did I miss something?
No, we are doing the chapter. That's what you missed. Page number 18. We anchored offshore for the night, and the next morning, all 28 inhabitants of the island cheered as they helped us ashore. So the island has only 28 people staying on it. With land under my feet again, my thoughts were full of Larry and Harvey, cheerful and optimistic under the direst stress. What is the meaning of the word direst? Direst means the worst kind, very horrible. Underline direst and write worst. And of Mary, who stayed at the wheel for all those crucial hours. Most of all, I thought of a 7-year-old girl who did not want us to worry about a head injury, which subsequently took 6 minor operations to remove a recurring blood clot between skin and skull, and of a 6-year-old boy who was not afraid to die. Who sent that message just now? I think obviously by mistake he sent it to all. So that is the end of this chapter. Which is the next chapter that we have to do? Have we done the address?
Mom, I guess we haven't done the photograph.
the photograph. So which lessons have we done up till now? We've done portrait of a lady, we've done Summer of Beautiful White Horse, and now we have finished We Are Not Afraid to Die. Okay. Let us now go to the laburnum top.
In which book?
Page number 31.
Ma'am,
The
in Hornbill?
laburnum in Hornbill, yes. It is by a poet, Ted Hughes. This is a nature poetry because it is dealing with the trees and the birds and how the reactions of the bird cause the poet to feel very nice about what is happening around. First, I will read the entire poem in its entity and then we will discuss it line by line, word by word. The laburnum top is silent, quite still. In the afternoon, yellow September sunlight. A few leaves yellowing, all its seed fallen. Till the goldfinch comes with a twitching chirrup, a suddenness, a startlement at a branch end. Then sleek as a lizard and alert and abrupt, she enters the thickness and a machine starts up. Of chitterings and a tremor of wings and trillings, the whole tree trembles. Hornbill, page number 31. Hornbill, page number 31, the laburnum top. Of chitterings and a tremor of wings and trillings, the whole tree trembles and trills. It is the engine of her family. She stokes it full, then flirts out to a branch end, showing her barred face identity mask. Then with eerie delicate whistle chirrup whisperings, she launches away towards the infinite, and the laburnum subsides to empty. The structure of the poem is such that the first paragraph contains 3 lines, the second paragraph contains 9 lines, third paragraph contains 2 lines, and again the last paragraph, that is the fourth paragraph, it contains 1 line. So the structure of the poem is like this. It tapers at the ends and it bulges in the center. Because the idea of what is being put across by the poet is that there is nothingness, no noise, no movement, and then something happens, and then there is noise and there is movement, and then again it subsides and there is no noise, no movement. So there is a stillness and a bulge in between where there is an activity caused by the goldfinch coming into the tree. So that's why the structure of the poem is also tapering, bulging, and then again tapering. Now let us look at the first paragraph. The laburnum top is silent, quite still. The laburnum is the name of a tree and it is silent and it is quite still. There is hardly any movement. In the afternoon, yellow September sunlight. So it's the afternoon time, it's the month of September, and the sunlight is almost yellow in color. A few leaves yellowing, all its seed fallen. It is the few leaves are yellowing. Why? Any idea?
Ma'am, it's
Autumn.
almost autumn.
Exactly, because autumn is approaching and the color of the leaves is changing from green to yellow or red, and then they will fall off for the autumn season. So that is the first paragraph. Till the goldfinch comes, goldfinch is a small bird like a sparrow. Till the goldfinch comes with a twitching chirrup. What is a twitching chirrup? That is the
Ma'am,
sound
high
made by
pitched.
the Yes.
Made
high
by the
pitched
sound
chirrup.
of the
Yes. It is a sound made by the bird, the chirping of the bird. A suddenness, a startlement at a branch end. So she comes and perches at the end of a branch. And when she sits there on that branch, the branch moves. So there is a sudden movement. Then sleek as a lizard and alert and abrupt. Now look at the third line of the second paragraph and tell me which poetic device has been used here.
simile.
Very good, Isha. And the
Yeah, simile.
comparison, I beg your pardon? And the comparison is between which two objects? Which two things are being compared to each other?
The bird and the lizard.
Exactly.
Bird is compared to lizard.
Yeah, Parth, don't call it the bird, call it the goldfinch only. The goldfinch and the lizard. And what is the
Yes, sir.
quality that is being compared?
Thickness.
What did you say, Isha?
And both are thin.
Thin. So the quality of being sleek is being compared. Okay. So how will you frame the sentence? This line contains the figure of speech simile because a direct comparison is being made between the goldfinch and the lizard. A direct comparison is being made between the sleekness. Sleekness means thinness. Sleek means thin. Between the sleekness of the goldfinch and the lizard. With the use of the word as. Therefore, it contains simile. The poet has used this poetic device to create a better effect in the poem. That is your explanation for the simile. So just like a lizard, she becomes very thin and she enters the thickness and a machine starts up. What is the thickness? What is the thickness that she is entering?
Ma'am, the bushy part of the tree.
The what part of the tree?
Ma'am, the bushy part, the leaves.
The bushy part of the tree where it has a lot of branches and leaves. So it's the thickness of the tree and the bird is entering it. And a machine starts up. So when she enters into the thickness, there is a lot of movement and a lot of noise as if a machine has started up. So now in this fourth line of the second paragraph, which is the poetic device being used here?
Personification.
No,
No. Metaphor like comparison to a machine.
metaphor. There is an indirect comparison between which two things?
Ma'am,
Machine
goldfinch and
and
machine.
no.
Not goldfinch. The noise and movement in the tree to that of a
Noise
machine.
of a machine.
So there is an indirect comparison. There is no use of the word like or as. Therefore, it's a metaphor. So how will you frame your paragraph? This line contains the figure of speech metaphor because an indirect comparison is made between the noise and movement created in the tree and that created by a machine when it starts up without using the word as or like. The poet uses this poetic device to enhance the quality of the poem. So underline a machine starts up and write metaphor and underline sleek as a lizard and write simile. Can anyone tell me the spelling of simile? S-I-M-I-L-E, simile. You want me to repeat what? Metaphor or simile? Okay. The above line contains the figure of speech metaphor because an indirect comparison has been made between the movement and noise created by the tree and the starting up of a machine without the use of words like or as. Full stop. The poet uses this poetic device to enhance the reading experience. Of chitterings and a tremor of wings and trillings. What is chitterings? Chitterings is the chirping of the bird, because now many birds are chittering. There's a chirping by a lot many birds. Tremor of wings. What is tremor?
Shivering.
Shivering. No, it cannot be personification. And trillings. What are trillings?
Singing.
What is it, Isha?
Singing.
Singing. The loud pitched singing of the birds are trillings. The whole tree trembles and trills. It is the engine of her family. Whose family?
The bird's family.
Bird's family. See, someone has a question whether she enters the thickness and a machine starts up is a personification. So it is not like the machine has been given a human quality. So therefore it is not personification. When she enters the tree, it is as if a machine has started up. So it is a comparison. It is not a giving human quality to anything. So it is not personification, it is metaphor. The meaning of the word tremor is shivering, to shiver. The whole tree trembles and thrills. It is the engine of her family. She stokes it full, then flirts out to a branch end. So she does what she has to do inside the thickness of the tree to the fullest. And then she comes again to the end of a branch. Now what happens when she comes to the end of the branch? She becomes visible to the poet again. Because when she had entered the thickness of the tree, she was not visible. Which line? Second line or third line?
Ma'am, third line.
So you are saying A has been repeated twice. That's why, Kushi? Because of alert and abrupt. No, no, Kushi. If it is asked in the exam, you can go for it. But for the sake of marking in the textbook, unless it is thrice, we will not go for it. So when she comes to the end of the branch, she becomes visible to the poet again. When she had gone into the thickness of the tree, she was not visible to the poet. So the last line he says, showing her barred face, identity masked. So when she comes to the end of the branch, Her face that was barred up till now. Barred means hidden. Underline barred and write hidden. Her face that was hidden up till now has now become visible. Who can read the first and the second paragraph for me? Kushi, can you read the first and the second paragraph of the poem?
Yes, ma'am. The laburnum top is silent, quite still. In the afternoon, yellow September sunlight, a few leaves yellowing, and all its seeds fallen, till the goldfinch comes with a twitching chirrup, a suddenness, a startlement at a branch end, then sleek as a lizard, and alert and abrupt, she enters the thickness, and a machine starts up, of tittering and a tremor of wings, and thrilling, the whole tree trembles and thrills. It is the engine of her family. She strokes it full, then flirts out to a branch end, showing her barred face identity mark.
Very good, Kushi. Let us continue with the last two paragraphs of the poem. In the third paragraph, then with eerie, delicate, whistle chirrup whisperings. So the poet is saying that after she has left from the, after she has come out from the thickness to the end of the branch, then she leaves the tree. She launches away towards the infinite. What is the meaning of the word launches?
Fly upwards.
Fly upwards. Underline launches and write flies upwards. So she leaves the tree. Now in the previous paragraph, there is a word stokes in the second last line. She stokes it full. Stokes it full means fuels it up completely. She fuels up the engine of her family. Because there is a reference of the bird coming and feeding its babies and going away. So it has fueled up. Then in the third paragraph, there is a word eerie. What is the meaning of the word eerie?
Scary or weird.
Frightening. Yes, correct, Isha. And the laburnum subsides to empty. Again, that activity has stopped and it is becoming less and it's becoming even less and it subsides and comes to a halt. Again, the tree comes to the initial state where there is stillness, motionless and noiseless. Then with eerie, delicate whistle, chirrup, whisperings. So after coming out from the thickness, she is at the end of the branch and her chirping has now come down to whisperings. So it is almost as if there is a scary feel to it. And she does this and then she just flies away. Who will read the last two paragraphs of the poem? Eerie means scary. Who will read the last two paragraphs of the poem?
Ma'am Shara?
Yes, Parth.
Then with eerie, delicate whistle, chirrup, whisperings, she launches away towards the infinite, and laburnum subsides to empty.
Now, if you come to page number 32, What laburnum is called in your language? Not required. But what local bird is like a goldfinch? What would be your answer?
Sparrow.
Sparrow. What do
Parrot.
you notice? What do you notice about the beginning and the end of the poem? The beginning and the end of the poem are similar. In what context?
The
Ma'am,
length.
both are peaceful
Calm
and
and silent
calm.
and motionless.
Yeah.
Yes. In both the beginning and the end of the poem, the laburnum top is still motionless and quiet. Write it down, make a note of the answer in your textbook. Who is this ZWI? The name is not written. Ishwajot, can you read question number 2?
Yes, ma'am. To what is the bird's movement compared? What is the basis for the comparison?
Who can answer this question? What is the answer to the first part of the question?
Ma'am, it is compared to the startup of the machine
Very good. And what is the basis of the comparison?
because at the starting it is still and quiet, and after that the noise begins.
Exactly. In the case of the bird as well as the machine, they are not the bird, the tree and the machine, they both are silent, and then they start up. When they start up, they make noise and there is movement. So that is the basis of the comparison. Write the answer in points in your textbook. Ashutosh,
Yes, ma'am.
can you read question number 3?
Why is the image of the engine evoked by the poet?
Who can answer this question?
Ma'am, should I?
Please.
Because engine is the most important part of a machine, and similarly here the bird is the most important part of their family because she feeds them and is responsible for taking care of the children as well.
Exactly. It's the engine of the machine which keeps the machine in working condition to be able to perform their function. Similarly, the goldfinch, who is the mother of perhaps the babies in the nest, she is the one who comes and enables the activities to happen. In her absence, there is stillness and noiselessness. Arya, Arya,
Yes, ma'am.
read question number 4, Arya.
What do you like the most about the poem?
Very good. Who can answer this question?
Ma'am,
Yes.
I like the simplicity and pictorial presentation of the poem.
The pictorial presentation of the poem, the imagery created by the poet, wherein the bird comes and creates all this noise and so much activity, and then the laburnum becomes still again. Something like this has to be your answer. Nile,
Yes, ma'am.
read question number 5.
What does the phrase "her bad
face identity mask mean?
Who can answer this question? The answer is when the bird, the goldfinch, comes out of the thickness, her face that was hidden up till now because she was in the bushes, in the branches and leaves of the tree, then now her face, which was hidden up till now, it becomes visible to the poet. The goldfinch, who was hidden in the thickness up till now, when she comes to the end of the branch, her hidden face becomes visible to the poet. Note down the sound words. Which are the sound words in the poem?
Silent, chittering,
What else?
Chirap.
Chirup. What else? I hope you are making a note of the answers.
Trillings.
Trillings. Very good. The movement words.
Whispering.
What was that?
Whisperings also is there.
Whispering is also there. What about the movement words?
quiet, tremor,
Quiet.
and launches away.
Okay, that quiet no is not Q-U-I-E-T, quiet. So that is not a movement word, but quite still. Quite still. Okay. Quite means काफी, quite a lot. ऐसा. And Quiet is quiet, meaning silent. So quite still is a movement phrase. What else?
Launches.
Come
Tremor
again?
of wings.
Tremor of
Please.
wings. What else?
Launches away.
Sleek.
What is that? Which word?
Floats out to the branch end.
Flirts out is a movement. What else?
Ma'am, sleek.
Sleek is not a movement word.
Launches.
Yes, launches.
Starts up.
Stokes up is what you're saying?
Starts up.
Starts up. Machine starts up. The dominant color in the poem.
Yellow.
What all is yellow in the poem?
Sunlight, leaves,
And goldfinch.
Goldfinch. The
Laburnum.
tree because of the leaves also, plus the flowers also. The laburnum has yellow flowers. So the
And
tree
sunlight.
because of
Yellow
yellow
sunlight.
leaves and yellow flowers, plus the goldfinch, plus the sunlight. Anything else is also yellow in the poem?
I think that's it.
That's it. So for a question like this, no, which is the dominant color in the poem, your answer should not stop at yellow. This is now 11th standard. So you have to say which are those 3-4 things which are yellow in the poem. No, you don't have to write the poem in your notebook, but you have to write the question answers in the poem. So there are 4 things which are yellow: the leaves of the tree, the flowers of the tree, the goldfinch, and the sunlight. So you have to mention those 4 things also. Your answer has to be better than the answer of the rest of the children. Then you will get marks, because this is now 11th standard. So you have to write at the junior college level of answering. Now, words which describe sleek, abrupt, and alert. Sleek, alert, and abrupt. Which words describe sleek, alert, and abrupt?
Ma'am,
What is
abrupt
the
means a sudden change.
Blizzard.
change? Words with the sound CH as in chart and TR as in trembles in the poem. Which are the CH words in the poem?
Chitterings, chirrup,
Very good. And TR words?
trillings, tremors, and twitching.
Very good. Other sounds that occur frequently in the poem?
Goldfinch,
No sound. Chirrup, chittering, trillings. These are the sounds that occur frequently in the poem. So that is the end of this poem. So I have done the labrinum talk with you. Now I have photograph and address to do with you. We can start with the photographs. You would prefer for me to do the photograph, or you would prefer me to do the address?
photograph.
Photograph. The photograph is a poem in Hornbill. There is a story in the poem. There is a daughter who is looking at the photograph of her mother. Okay. Now, the photograph of her mother is when the mother was quite young, and along with her cousin, she had gone to the beach, and she's enjoying herself. But now her mother is no more. So she is remembering the youth of her mother through that photograph. Okay. So as usual, I will read the poem in its entity first. You hear the poem once, and then we will discuss it in detail. A photograph by Shirley Tolson. The cardboard shows me how it was when the 2 girl cousins went paddling, each one holding one of my mother's hands, and she, the big girl, some 12 years or so. All 3 stood still to smile through their hair at the uncle with the camera, a sweet face, my mother's, that was before I was born. And the sea, which appears to have changed less, washed her terribly transient feet. Some 20-30 years later, she'd laugh at the snapshot. See Betty and Dolly, she'd say, and look how they dressed us for the beach. The sea holiday was her past. Mine is her laughter. Both vary with the labored ease of loss. Now she's been dead nearly as many years as that girl lived, and of this circumstance there is nothing to say at all. It's silence silences. So the poem begins with she is comparing the cardboard behind the picture. You know, when you frame a picture, apart from the frame, there is a cardboard behind the photograph. So she is saying that the cardboard allows me how it was. So that part of the cardboard which was covered by the photograph is nice and fresh, but the edgings is become old. So the cardboard shows me how it was when two girl cousins went paddling. What is the meaning of paddling?
Rolling a boat.
No, over here it is walking through water with bare feet. You're not wearing any shoes and you're walking through shallow waters. Paddling. Underline paddling and write walking bare feet in shallow water. So the three girls have gone to the beach and they are walking in the water. Shallow water. Water that is only up till their feet. It's not even knee high. Each one holding one of my mother's hands. So her mother is the oldest girl and the other two are younger than her mother. And both of them are holding her mother's hands. And she, the big girl, some 12 years or so. So how old was the mother when she had gone with two cousins to the beach when this photograph was clicked?
12.
12 years old. And the other two were younger than 12. All three stood still to smile through their hair. Smile through their hair because the wind is blowing the hair on the face, and through the hair you can see that they are smiling. At the uncle with the camera. Now the uncle with the camera, at that time nobody had mobiles and nobody even had cameras with which they would roam about. Okay. So jagah jagah par, when you would go to visit the fort or Gateway of India or go to the beach, so you would have these men who would have camera with them and they would ask you if you wanted a picture of you clicked. They would click your snap and they would send you the picture at your address. You paid him the money. That time it was like 20-30 rupees per photograph that they clicked. But 20-30 rupees at that time was like 200 rupees because bread, which now is 44 rupees, at that time used to be 2 rupees. So 20 rupees ka photograph is an expensive photograph. So, but that camera uncle would click a snap and he would send it at your address. So that is what she's talking about. At the uncle with the camera. A sweet face, my mother's, that was before I was born. So of course, when the mother is 12 years old, so it's a picture of hers before her daughter, who is now writing the poem and who's now looking at the picture before her daughter was born. And the sea, which appears to have changed less. So a lot has changed in the photograph, the people who are there, a lot has changed. But the sea that is behind as the background of the photograph, that has not changed very much. It is much the same. And the sea, which appears to have changed less, washed their terribly transient feet. Underline the word transient. What is the meaning of the word transient?
Temporary.
Exactly. Transient is temporary. So the sea has remained unchanged almost, but their feet have changed because they have the three girls have passed from there, they have lived through their lives, and one of them has even now died. Who would like to read the first paragraph of the poem? Rim Jim? Tarun?
The cardboard shows me how it was when the two girl cousins went paddling, each one holding one of my mother's hand, and she, the big girl, some 12 years or so. All three stood still to smile through their hair at the uncle with the camera, a sweet face, my mother's, that was before I was born, at, and the sea, which appears to have changed less, washed their terribly transient feet.
Now let us look at the two poetic devices in this paragraph. Anyone has an idea? Anyone? The fifth line of the first paragraph has a figure of speech. Can you recognize which figure of speech it is?
Personification.
Alliteration.
Personification. What is personified according to you? All three stood still to smile through their hair.
Yes, alliteration. Sorry.
Yeah,
Alliteration.
alliteration. So which sound has been repeated? Which alphabet has been repeated?
S.
S. How many
S.
times? How many times?
3 times.
3 times. So what will be the explanation? The above line contains the figure of speech alliteration. The spelling of alliteration is double L. A-double-L-I-T-E-R-A-T-I-O-N. The above line contains the figure of speech alliteration as the alphabet S has been repeated thrice in the words stood, still, and smile. The poet uses this device to enhance the reading experience. Okay? There is one more figure of speech in this poem, in this paragraph, which is in the
Ma'am, personification.
which line?
Seventh line. C.
My
Changed.
mother's, that was before I was born. Which line? 8th line, I think you're saying.
Yes, ma'am, the second last line.
And the sea, which appears to have changed less. So changed is not a human quality. Animals and nature changes more than humans. So it's not a personification. The last line of the paragraph has a figure of speech. Which one is it?
Alliteration.
Terribly
For alliteration, no. If this sentence comes in the exam and you cannot think of anything else except alliteration, you can go for it. But for the sake of marking, and as far as I am a teacher and asking in the exam, I will not ask something that comes twice together. It should be thrice together for alliteration. So wash their terribly transient feet is not alliteration but transferred epithet. Transferd, transferred, epithet, 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 transferred epithet. The meaning of transferred epithet is epithet means adjective. So in transferred epithet, the adjective that is applied there has been transferred from what the poet means to say to another object. So transient feet, the adjective transient meaning temporary, has been transferred from human life to feet. By feet, what he means to say is not that the feet are temporary, but the human life is temporary. It changes. it goes through drastic changes. So transient feat is actually the transient condition of the human life. Therefore, it's a transferred epithet.
Ma'am, can you please repeat?
Transient refers to human feat. The adjective transient refers to human feat, but it is used to describe the lack of permanence, describe the lack of permanence of human life, of human life.
Ma'am, I think I found another one.
Which one?
Personification in the first line. The cardboard shows me.
So this no is allusion. Allusion meaning the cardboard has been used to represent the photograph. ALLUSION, allusion. An allusion is a reference to imply another object. An allusion is a reference of something to imply another object. The cardboard actually refers to the photograph. Can we move on to the second paragraph?
Yes, ma'am.
Some 20-30 years later, so the photograph is being viewed 20-30 years later. By whom? By the mother. She'd laugh at the snapshot. So in the first paragraph, the poet is talking about how she feels when she sees the photograph. In the second paragraph, the poet is talking about the mother seeing her own photograph and how she feels about it. So at this time, when the mother is looking at her own photograph, how old is she?
To 42.
Exactly. She's 32. Yeah, but the mother is not alive now. But at that time when she was alive, when she was 30-40 years old, when she saw this, when she had seen this photograph, she had laughed at the photograph. And she had said, oh, look at Betty and look at Dolly. Who do you think are Betty and Dolly?
Her cousin.
The two cousins.
Exactly, the two cousins. So she is saying, oh, look at Betty, oh, look at Dolly, and look how they dressed us for the beach. Who is the they who dressed us for the beach? Who is the they? Yes, Tarun, who is the they?
I think parents.
Cousin.
Ma'am,
The
their parents.
parents of the three girls. They are cousins, so they have three different sets of parents. They are not real sisters. So three parents, no, see how they dressed us. And who is the us? Dressed us for the beach. Who is the us?
The
The
three
three
sisters.
girls.
The three cousins.
Cousins.
The sea holiday was her past. Okay, so this is where at the beach it talks about the mother viewing her own photograph. Now again, the daughter is talking. And what she's saying, understand. She's saying that when she looks at the photograph, that is her past. Whose past? The mother's past. But now when the daughter remembers the mother looking at the photograph, that is the daughter's past. Are you understanding?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
The sea holiday was her past. Mine is her laughter. Her laughter, who is the her over here?
Mother.
The mother. When was she laughing?
Her mother.
Looking at the
Looking at photograph when she
Both
was
very. Very means?
disgusted. Like,
Very means?
disgusted. Like disgusted.
Yes, disgusted. Both disgusted with the labored ease of loss. Which loss?
Of her mother.
For mother, what was the loss? The mother, when she sees the photograph, she's 30, 40 years old. She's seeing a photograph of
youth.
herself 12 years old. So for the mother, what is the
Her
loss?
young age.
Loudly. Loudly. For mother,
Her
what was the
young
loss?
age.
Those old moments.
Her youth, her childhood.
Her old memories.
Old memories. Her childhood and her youth is her loss. She has lost that. For the daughter who is seeing the photograph of her mother, what is her loss?
Her mother.
Her mother itself, who is no more with her. Okay, so that's the second paragraph. Who can read the second paragraph for the class? Who can read? Nutan?
Can I read?
Yes, please.
Some 20-30 years later, she did laugh at the snapshot. See Betty and Dolly, she did say, and look at how they dress us for the beach. The sea holiday was her past. Mine is her laughter. Both worry with their labored ease of loss.
Very good. Now, the figure of speech in this paragraph. Who can recognize?
Ma'am,
Ma'am, it's oxymoron.
Labor-Days, yeah, oxymoron.
Oxymoron. And what is the explanation for the figure of speech? Why is labored ease an oxymoron?
Opposite meanings together used.
Ma'am, labored ease means great difficulty and ease means like easy. So they are opposite in meaning.
I want to take this opportunity to explain to you, because lot of children have this doubt. Difference between oxymoron and paradox. If this labored ease is oxymoron, then what is paradox? Why is this not a paradox? Anyone? What is the difference between paradox and oxymoron? So what you need to understand is opposite.
Ma'am, it is like paradox is like group of many statements, like the different meanings, opposite meanings. And whereas oxymoron is like two words which are kept together but have opposite meanings.
तो difference क्या है? दोनों में
Ma'am,
opposite meanings है तो फिर what is the difference?
ma'am,
If both
I
are
think that ma'am, I think that the paradox is a contradictory statement in itself, and whereas the oxymoron is like a pair of opposite meaning words. So it's something like that.
something like that. You're close, Rimjim. One is opposite ideas and one is opposite words. When you have things like up and down coming, day and night coming, black and white coming, come and go, that is opposite words. You know, in the third standard, you have a list of opposite words which the children have to learn by heart. When those words are coming together in the same sentence in a poem, then that is paradox. Opposite words is paradox. Whereas opposite ideas, because labored and ease is not opposite words. But if you see the meaning of the two words, then it opposes each other. Labored means worked hard. Ease means to be comfortable. So both are opposite in meaning. Getting the idea? Please make a note of it on top. You have a footnote and a head note. So you have a lot of space above a photograph. Make a note over there. What is an oxymoron and what is a paradox? So this here, the last line of the second paragraph is an oxymoron. Let me know when you have finished writing so that I can move on to the third paragraph. Finished? The meaning of the last line of the paragraph, the sea holiday was her past, mine is her laughter. Both vary with the labored ease of loss. If both the mother and the daughter are disgusted with the hard work that has put in, and after all the hard work that was put in, what came in their hand was the comfort of loss. Because when there is a loss, then there is nothing that you can work hard for. Have you finished writing? Can I proceed to the next paragraph?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, she's been dead nearly as many years. How many years?
12.
No.
2030.
30, 40. 2030, sorry. She's been dead for 20, 30 years now. As that girl lived. Oh, now she's been dead nearly as many years as that girl lived. So not 20, 30 years then.
Ma'am, it's like
The age of the poet.
yeah, when
Kushi, I
she
can't
died
understand what you said.
when the poet was very small, like she was a kid, then she died.
No, she's talking about her mother.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking. Like
Around
when
12.
when she was very small, when the poet was very small, her mother died. So at very early the age.
There is no suggestion of that part. But now she's nearly been dead as many years as that girl lived. Means if her mother lived up till say 45 years, now it has been 45 years since she has died.
Yes, ma'am.
That way it means. So it's been a long time since she has died. Okay. And of this circumstance, there is nothing to say at all. So there's nothing that she can say about this. If her mother has died, her mother has died. She has accepted it. It's silence silences, meaning the silence that the death has brought, that silence itself silences a lot of things around it. So basically, the daughter's life has become very silent because the mother is no more. Its silence, that is, the death's silence, silences. It silences the daughter, the other people around. So there's a figure of speech in this paragraph as well. What is the figure of speech here?
Repetition.
Repetition.
Ma'am, it's personification.
1 minute. What was the explanation for the repetition? Which line?
Silence silences.
See, silence and silences are two different words. So not repetition. And explanation for personification, which line?
Ma'am, the silence silences. It represents the human quality of silence.
So which inanimate object has been given a human quality?
Silence has given.
Silence. Silence. The silence has been given the human quality of being able to silence something else. Therefore, it's a personification. Also, now note something about the structure of the poem. The first paragraph has how many lines? 9 lines. Second paragraph has how many lines?
6 lines.
6 lines.
6.
And the fourth paragraph has, the third paragraph has how many lines? 4 lines.
4 lines.
So there is a broadening which is now tapering. Because there was an excitement of young 12-year-old girls going to the beach, walking in the water, clicking their snaps, the wind blowing their hair, and they are smiling for their photograph. Then there was a grown-up adult woman looking at that photograph and feeling sad. And there was a young daughter looking at that photograph and remembering her mother. And then there is death. There is a further silencing, further quietening of activities. So just like the labrinum, nothing, activity, nothing. Here there is lot of activity, less activity, nothing. Okay? These things, the structure of the poem and all was not introduced to you in your 9th and 10th standard. But now as you go to higher classes, in literature, you have to pay attention to these things also. Because
But what is the significance of it?
the significance is that the poet is depicting this reality to you, that how there is activity, less activity, and a further silencing that is being created through the structure. It is as if the poet talks through various ways. It's as if cues and clues are left for you to discover. Through this point also the poet is making a point. Through this point also the poet is making a point. So it's not just the words like you had in 9th and 10th standard. We asked you to just look at the words and recognize the poetic devices, the effects used by the poet. Now we are coming to, in 11th and 12th standard, even the structure of the poem, even the rhyme scheme of the poem, the use of words, how effects are being created. So this is also creating an effect. Clear?
Yes.
Make a note of that in the textbook. If you have finished writing, come to page number 12. What does the word cardboard denote in the poem? Yes, Deval?
Ma'am, it denotes the photograph
Very
of
good.
her over there.
Correct. Why has this word been used? This word has been used because the poet wants to convey that although the photograph got spoiled, it's the cardboard behind which has stayed clear. And although the person in the photograph is gone, the photograph of the person still stays. Krish, can you read question number 2 for us? Pratiksha, Prapti. Yes, Parth, read the second question.
Ma'am, what has the camera captured?
What
Can I
has
say
the camera captured? What will be the
camera
answer
has?
to this? Yes.
Ma'am, I think that the camera has captured the beautiful moments of a poet's mother life when she was on a summer holiday.
Very good. A youthful moment in the life
Yeah.
of the poet's mother. Very good. Very good. Astha. Harsh.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you read question number 3 for the class?
What has not changed over the years? Does this suggest something to you?
Very good. What is the answer to the first part of the question? Omkar? Omkar? You know, it's so horrible when you call out your name and you don't respond. Yes, Parth, your answer is right. Omkar, it's high time now, na, to say my mic is not working, ma'am. It's high time. Sanchit? Yes, Isha, your answer is right. Arya, your answer is right. Sanchit not responding. Rohit? Rohit not responding. Kushi? No, Deval, your answer is not right. Yes, Prasanna, your answer is right. Yes, Kushi, what is the answer to the first part of the question? What has not changed over the years?
The sea.
The sea has not changed over the years. Rohan, does this suggest something to you? Yes, Chirag, your answer is right. The fact that the
Can I
sea...
answer this?
Yes, tell me.
The changelessness of the sea reminds us of the changes in human face with advancing age.
Very good, very good. By bringing out the fact that the person standing in front of the ocean and clicking the picture is long dead and gone, but the sea has remained unchanged, the poet wants to bring out the contrast between the permanence of other things compared to the temporary feeling of human life. the transient character of human life. He wants to contrast that. Write your answer and let me know when to continue. I think I should call up the mothers of these people who don't respond. कि अगर मदर को ये लग रहा है ना कि बच्चा तो बैठा है लेक्चर के सामने सुन रहा है पढ़ाई कर रहा है. Okay, let me explain this once more. The question is, does this suggest something to you? The fact that the sea has not changed over the year, does this suggest something to you? That is the question. So the answer is that the poet has brought out the transient nature of the human life by contrasting it with the ocean in the background, which has not changed. That human life is mortal, whereas the ocean is immortal. That is what we mean to say. Sai,
Yes, ma'am.
please read question number 4.
The poet's mother laughed at the snapshot. What did this laugh indicate?
Ayush, anyone knows the answer to this question?
Ma'am,
Yes.
I think this laugh indicates her joy at remembering an incident connected with a past life when she was quite young and free from the tension and worries of her life.
Very good. Who answered this part? You answered it.
No, ma'am, Rituraj.
Rituraj answered it. So this answer is perfect. The one word answer for this question will be fond memories. That the mother is laughing at the photograph because she fondly remembers her youthful days with her cousins. Okay. Ayush, your mic is not working or what? Rati, R-A-T-I, ZPLIE 2020RMO 45. Rati. Can I have your name coming in front of your ID? Your ID should follow your name. Your name should not follow your ID. पहले नाम आना चाहिए, उसके बाद ID आना चाहिए. Yes. So those children who are texting me and saying your mic is not working, you have to really consider making some changes. Okay. Indefinitely mic is not working. Indefinitely video is not on. Is not going to happen. You better buckle up. Rishi, Satyam, such a hopeless waste of time now calling out your names and you people don't even respond. So irritating it is, you know.
Ma'am.
I am not here to make this class very interesting for you. I am here to explain the chapter to you, which you will not follow if you read and try to do it on your own. You have paid so much money and come to Zeal for this explanation. What is the meaning of the line, both vary with the labored ease of loss, that mother and daughter both have had their share of mother and daughter both have had their share of losses to feel sorry about. Question number 6. What does this circumstance refer to? This circumstance refers to the mother's death. This circumstance refers to the mother's death. Question 7. The three stanzas depict three different phases. What are they? Phase number 1, when the mother is youthful and 12 years old. Phase number 2, when the mother is 30 to 40 years old. Phase number 3, the mother is dead. Phase number 1, the mother is 12 years old. Phase number 2, the mother is 30-40 years old. And phase number 3, the mother is dead. Write these answers in your English notebook as homework and then post it